Aging isn't about slowing down, it's about stepping into your power. Welcome to Don't Let the Old Lady In, the podcast where we challenge outdated beliefs about getting older and embrace wellness, self-love, and confidence. Your host is Lori Gardner, a registered nurse and nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, and she is your guide on this journey to vibrant, mindful living. Each episode will explore topics that nourish your mind, body, and spirit, and how to navigate health issues in the healthcare system as you age, so you can live with energy, purpose, and joy. Let's get started. Here's your host, Lori Gardner. Welcome back to Don't Let That Old Lady In podcast. I'm Lori Gardner, your host, and today I'm excited to present the 5th episode in the series called Growth Creates Meaning. And today we're talking about letting go. Have you ever felt like part of you is ready for more, ladies, but another part of you keeps pulling you back? You want to grow. You want to evolve. You can feel that next version of yourself calling you, and yet you hesitate. You overthink, you stay where it's familiar, you tell yourself, maybe later. But here's the truth most people don't talk about. Growth doesn't just require becoming someone new, it requires letting go of who you used to be. And that, ladies, can feel uncomfortable, even emotional, even a little scary. And today we're talking about why growth requires letting go and how to do it with compassion instead of fear. You're going to learn why growth can feel like loss, how identities quietly can hold you back, and how emotional resilience is what you need to become someone new. And it's really a great skill to have in general as you age. And how to let go of self-compassion instead of fear. Now, I'm not talking about letting go of the magnificent you that you are, your personality, your gifts, and all that. I'm talking about identities that may need a little shifting, like always being the caregiver, or focusing on, an identity you had that was handed down to you. But we're going to go into that for sure. I'm not saying letting go of who your personality is, but letting go of some things that might be holding you back. And why is letting go so hard? Because letting go isn't just about habits. It's about identity. It's about the version of you who played it safe, took care of everyone else first, stayed small to keep the peace, defined herself by roles: mother, wife, caregiver, professional. And these identities were not wrong, and they were very necessary at one point. They protected you, they helped you belong, they helped you survive. But here's the shift I'd love you to think about. What once protected you can eventually limit you. So I'm going to give you an example of somebody I coached. I worked with a woman who always saw herself as the responsible one. I might be talking about myself. No, only kidding. But maybe not. She was the one everyone relied on. But as her life opened up in midlife, she wanted more freedom, creativity, and joy. Yet every time she tried to do something for herself, she felt guilt. Why was that? Because it conflicted with her identity. The responsible one doesn't put herself first. So her growth wasn't blocked by lack of opportunity. It was blocked by who she believed she had to be. I want to repeat that, ladies, because this is a woman who was an amazing mother, and worked, and just amazing. And also the responsible one who thought she shouldn't put herself first. But that's exactly what blocked her from growing and moving forward. She was blocked by who she believed she had to be. That's what I'm talking about what we're going to let go of a belief of a way we have to be. And I just want to give ourselves some grace here, ladies, because this can be an emotional time when we're making shifts and whatnot in midlife and beyond. And growth can actually feel a little like loss. And this is where we're going to get real. Growth often feels like loss because Well, it feels like loss before we expand. We're feeling a loss before we get the good stuff in the expansion. You might lose like familiar routines. You might lose certain relationships or the dynamics in them. You might lose the comfort of being known a certain way, like that woman I just spoke about, being the responsible one, giving to everybody and looking like everything was fantastic. But inside her, it wasn't so fantastic. You might lose the certainty of your old life, and that can bring up grief, and that's normal. And it just requires to be processed. Even when the growth is positive, we go through this. As an example, I had a client who started setting boundaries for the first time in her life. So proud of her. And she actually, for the first time, thought, wow, this is really going to empower me. I'm setting some boundaries, finally. Instead, what did she feel? She felt anxious. She felt a little lonely as well, because people started to respond to her differently. It was new. Some people pulled away. Some resisted. But she said, I don't know who I am anymore with these boundaries. I told her that that's not really a breakdown. That's just a transition. And if you can hold on, take care of yourself. You're not losing yourself. You are shedding layers that no longer fit. But again, give ourselves some grace and patience and time during this whole process. So there's something we call the identity gap. There's a space in growth that feels very uncomfortable. You know, we have that grieving process, but there's also this gap, and it feels very uncomfortable. It's the space between who you used to be and who you are becoming. Because ladies, I say this all the time, because you're all magnificent, and I believe we can be even more magnificent as long as we don't entertain decline as part of aging. No, we are all becoming more. We're not getting older, ladies. We're getting better. So this is you becoming. This is that identity gap. And in this space, you don't fully relate to your old self, but you're not fully confident in your new self either. There's the gap. It can feel uncertain. It can feel unsteady, even isolating. So here's my insight, my coaching insight. And this is where many women turn back, not because they can't grow in this gap, but they get a little lost and scared, but because the middle space in this gap feels way too unfamiliar. So they go back to old patterns, old roles, old identities, not because they want to, but because it feels known. Totally normal, but that's not going to give you the growth you're looking for. So let's reframe it a little bit. This space, this is where real transformation happens, ladies. Sometimes there's some guru out there, well-known life coach that always says, live in the questions and get comfortable with the uncomfortable. I think they're great, great statements. But in this gap, this is where the real transformation happens, ladies. It's where you build self-trust, emotional resilience, a deeper connection to who you truly are. And you're not lost here. You're being rebuilt. Think of it that way. Now, how do we let go of compassion? It's really important. And letting go does not have to be harsh. It doesn't mean you're rejecting your past at all. It means you're honoring it and choosing to evolve. Here's how. 1, acknowledge who you've been. That version of you served a purpose. She got you here. She's amazing. Number 2, notice what no longer fits. What are you shrinking? Where are you holding back? Number 3, allow the discomfort. Live in it. Be uncomfortable be comfortable in the uncomfortable. Growth will feel unfamiliar. That's just part of it. 4, take small identity shifts. You don't have to become someone new overnight. You start by thinking, I am becoming someone who does this, or who does this, or whatever it is you want to grow into. Just say to yourself, I'm becoming that woman who loses weight. I'm becoming that woman who becomes dynamic, who goes out and tries new things. Try that. So instead of saying, I've always been someone who puts everyone else first, shift to, I am becoming someone who honors my needs too. That's how identity evolves, gently, intentionally, and powerfully. So, if you feel the pull towards something more, ladies, pay attention. That's not random. That's growth calling you forward. But remember, you cannot step fully into who you are becoming if you're still tightly holding on to who you used to be. Let go, not with judgment, but with gratitude. Because every version of you brought you here. And this next version, she's waiting for you to choose her. And around here, we don't let that old lady in. We choose the version that is evolving and is dynamic, and you have got so much inside of you to bring out. I don't want to see it wasted. Ladies, hopefully this message resonated with you, and you're going to bring out little by little a little more of that magnificence and do some growing. If this message resonated with you, please share it with somebody who really may need to hear this message and may want to get more involved in my courses or my coaching or our wellness women's group. It's a sacred group because a lot of what I'm talking about has its basis in spiritual foundation, and that's what I'm all about, mind, body, spirit, the spirit being the most powerful. So if you haven't given your spiritual life much attention, come on in. This is where we keep the old lady out. So I hope this was helpful to you, and I think next week is the last episode of the Growth series, and what's that on? I'm going to tell you in 1 second. It is on how to get that courage to become someone new after. So I'm going to really reinforce this message next week, and for the last one on how you become somebody new. We don't want to become that old lady, right? So I'm going to give you some more inspiration, tools, and tips next week on how we go about becoming even better. So ladies, I hope this was good for you. Let me know what you think. And until next time, don't let that old lady in. that's a wrap on today's episode of Don't Let the Old Lady In. Remember, age is just a number. Your mindset, energy, and passion are what truly define you. If this episode spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend. Subscribe and leave a review so we can continue this journey together. You are strong, vibrant, and unstoppable. Until next time, keep living boldly, loving yourself fully, and most importantly, don't let the old lady in.